Hey guys, welcome back to Warlord Games Essentials covering on a bolt action. This will be episode 5 total, and today I'm going to be looking at the all-important Empire in Flames supplement by Warlord Games for bolt action. Now this video is going to be a bit of introduction, just my thoughts, because I haven't really had a chance to talk to anyone about the book so far. The next couple of videos of the review will have Jordan in it, which you've seen from the bolt action tank wars, and maybe another helper of mine called Peter. He might come in to have a look at the Chinese army, which has been included in this. So if any of you want to play China and have the actual rules, you don't need to buy an Armies of China book. You just have to buy the Empire in Flames book. All the armies of France and allies, but I think this book really gives a much better representation of the Chinese in the war, especially the communists. The communists are amazing, which we'll get into later. So, my general overview and impression of this book, just from the outset, it is great. This is probably the, I'm not going to say it's the best supplement, because I'm probably biased because I have, an Australian and a Japanese army. But it's thick, I didn't really count the pages, 124 pages for a supplement. It's pretty good. That isn't just all regurgitated fluff like the ones you see, like Stronghold Assault and Escalation from Games Workshop, for example. They're mostly, this much information you've already heard and that much actual, gaming content. This is really good. It's got a ton of scenarios, which are really good if you have a friend who's got a Marine army, or a sort of an early to mid-war British army, or a late war Australian, and a Japanese army, or even a Russian army, because the scenarios really take into account the whole island warfare nature of the Pacific theatre. So you really get tons of scenarios on beach landings, nighttime. There's a nighttime raid one. There's a whole chapter on island hopping. Not to mention, it goes back to the Second Sino-Japanese War, if I said that correctly. Yep. Yeah. So let me just get it up. That's just one whole chapter by its own, which gives you really what do you call it? It gives a lot of background, a lot of background, which is nice, but it's not overly a large amount. They've kept it concise to about 4 or 5 pages. And it comes in, you can fight a campaign using bolt action. So you get scenario 1, which is the Marco Polo Bridge, which I've already played. It's amazing. It's fun. There's a whole scenario on trench warfare. It's called Scenario 2 Trench Warfare in Shanghai. And that's really good if you're into sort of, not necessarily, if you want to recreate some sort of like a World War I style game on the Western Front, you can use this mission. This mission works for World War I, which, I don't think bolt action would have really intended that. I hope it would be nice if it did. But it's really has allowed for me to look at this and look at bolt action and say, ooh, I could do everything and anything, which is important for a game. So now that we've had a look at this sort of a general overview, this is my sort of opinions on that, and a bit on the book, and a bit of a look at the Second Sino-Japanese section. Let's have a look at the sort of generic part, the part we're all here for, what do you call it, the extra platoon selectors we get, and the extra units, which I'll go through by myself, and then next video see, because I'll probably end this video after this and a bit more talking. Next video see Jordan and I talk about the Chinese list, perhaps with Peter, I'm not too sure yet. And then him and I will go for the rest of the book, and then probably play some scenarios out of it, which would be quite nice. Just get comfortable. So, let's have a look at the theatre selectors. You got a couple of, theatre selectors, in my opinion, you don't really need a fault. You don't necessarily need a fault. A couple of them are nice. For example, Iwo Jima, or Guadalcanal from the Japanese book. They're really competitive because they give you extra support weapons. But other than that, they usually don't allow anything too much. How we go into the Battle of Shanghai for the Japanese? It's fairly you know. Oh, so not for the so I'm trying to this selectors. Battle of Shanghai. Sorry, 1937 reinforced platoon. You need nationalist officer, and you need 2 infantry squads. This is just for the Chinese, and the Chinese they're in everything army. If you think like the nationalists, for example, they get a wide range of things. Like you get your normal infantry squad, you get scouts. Scouts are really nice. I'll talk about them later, a bit more detail because they're a new unit in here. Not to mention they get flamethrowers, mortars, machine guns, blah blah blah. They also get suicide anti-tank teams, same as the Japanese, which is fairly. It was good because they're cheap, extra order die. You get 0 to 3, and you can still take a boys anti-tank rifle team, which is really really good. It really gives it sort of a flexibility. Their artillery is meh. They got a 37mm Pak 36 for the selector, and then sort of the same artillery. It's a bit okay. Tanks, they get the Cardinal Lloyd or the Panzer 1, so you're not going to take tanks to the selector. And transport's just a mule team or horse-drawn lumber, which is or a truck. So we'll go on to the. Also, I'm going to butcher the names of these battles because I'm not very well versed in pronunciation of places other than Sydney. So sorry in advance, but so the Battle of Taizhong. You can read it. Well, Taizhong. Did I read that correctly? I don't know. Is it backwards for you? Probably. So let's see. It's the same thing. It's nationalist sort of thing. It's a nationalist army list. Doesn't really give you anything different except for amphibious M19 and it gives you T26, but it's got to be and the Vickers. So it gives you a bit of, which is a bit relative, saying a bit more relative punch as the Chinese for armor. Even though, as you'll see later, you don't want to play. You don't use armor for Chinese really because it's bad, like really horrendously pointless taking it because it just dies. It's like. I think you get a medium tank, and that's it. You get a medium as a heavy. It's just, don't play tanks or Chinese, just infantry. Alright, so we'll move. It's nothing too different from the first one. Pretty much exactly the same. Just gives you better tanks. On the 8th Army, 37 to 45, and this is a communist army selector. It's okay. It's very different from the reinforced platoon because in reinforced platoon you get an extra 0 to 3 infantry. These guys can take 0 to 7 infantry. So as you can already tell, the communists are sort of a horde. You can sort of tell they're already a horde army. The whole point of them is just to throw men into the enemy. Just inexperienced, don't really care. Just get in combat, tie things up, just have the enemy die and bleed out. And they also get 0 to 2 scout teams, which is quite interesting because usually scout teams are just lobbed into the infantry. So you can still take the 7 infantry squads or the guerrilla cells and still take your scout teams, which is really awesome. And it really allows a bit of flexibility. They also get cavalry troops, which I think pretty much every single platoon, aside from the Battle of Shanghai platoon, are able to get. Cavalry is a big element in this theatre of this theatre book. And I personally think cavalry is amazing. I've never heard anyone say it's not. Well, I've heard people say it's okay, but I think 3 attacks in combat, 18-inch charge, move 9. It's amazing. I don't really see why people don't use cavalry more often in bolt action. No, I guess because they're a bit squishy and the enemy will just put a bunch of HE shots into them straight away just to deal with them. But even then, they're not expensive. I think they're not expensive. I'm assuming not that expensive, but maybe. Let's see. Yeah, they're not bad. It's what? Where's the cavalry squad? Cavalry, 10 points each for regular infantry, which is pretty good. And you know, tough fighters, which doesn't do much. If you dismount, you're not going to dismount. You just want to charge, you know, just sort of like the Polish hussar sort of ways, charge in and wreck them. So moving on, so we got the X and Y Force Burma, which is once again Nationalist Army list. It's sort of the same. All the National Army lists, or like the general unit composition is the same. All that really changes is the ability to have different armor. So this one allows you to have a Sherman or a Stuart. You know, you don't get anything else, you just get either of those two. We'll go on to the Imperial Japanese Army. I'm going to screw this up. The Kwantung Army, 1937. It's actually not bad. It's really, really good. There's a bit of an asterisk, which I can't find anywhere. It doesn't signal anything, which is annoying. But it's really good because it's the same. It's the same sort of layout as the reinforced. So one officer, 2 infantry squads. But the benefit here is the ability for the Japanese to just lob in and just put in as much support things as possible, because they get 0 to 1 cavalry, which is good. They get cavalry, as opposed to Japanese in the Armies of Japan book, where cavalry is not a thing. They get 0 to 3 machine gun teams, so there's sort of like a weird defensive arm. Like it's selected for the trench warfare scenario. So it's sort of defensive, but with a lot of firepower. So they get 0 to 2 mortar teams, light, medium, or heavy, which is really good. That's a lot of indirect HE just coming out. They get 0 to 3 sniper teams. That's pretty good. Snipers are really good. You know, in bolt action, the ability to get 3, you know, in a platoon that's really good. They get a flamethrower team, anti-tank team. Okay, here's the asterisk. So for the infantry squads, you can only take SNLFs if you're playing the Battle of Shanghai mission. Other than that, you can't. You're not supposed to be in this selector, which is it's not too good. I mean, SNLF squad, they're okay. You just get an extra submachine gun, so I don't really see the big necessity. I've never really used them myself. I don't really see the big necessity in taking them. Just take normal Japanese infantry, because you're not really going to, you're not really going to utilise the extra SMG, because I'm just going to be charging in, just trying to wreck them. I don't really shoot much from Japanese anyway. But now moving on to artillery, you get 0 to 2 anti-tank guns, anti-aircraft, or field artillery, that's really good. If you were the British, but that's okay for the Japanese. I mean, the field artillery is okay. You could be better. They get the standard howitzers, but the anti-tank guns are horrendously rubbish, and they don't really do anything. I've tried using them, so that's nice. They can take the Type 93 anti-aircraft gun, which is good. I think that's what you'll do. You're taking the mountain gun, if you can. Can you take Okay, you take Type 92, which I think is the mountain gun. I don't remember, but pretty much means you take a howitzer and then still take the anti-aircraft gun, just in case you get, as we all know, aircraft is pretty dangerous. It's a bit random, but it's dangerous if it hits you, and it can just ruin an entire 2 or 3 turns just by taking those 2 really key units next to each other, just out. So that's sort of why it's good to have the anti-aircraft gun option and still be able to take the field gun. So they get armoured cars, which, once again, it's Japanese. Tanks, they get the Type 94, the Type 81, or the SSKI. You're not going to take any of that. You might take the SSKI. It's the new one with the flamethrowers. It's interesting, but other than that, you're not going to take the 94, the 89. They're pretty equally as rubbish. And transport's just same old trucks, just trucks and horses. Because horses and mule drawn stuff is a big thing in this supplement. It's trying to add a bit of flavour, showing how mechanized assaulting and whatnot isn't isn't the big thing of the Pacific. It's all on the ground, infantry, and just slogging through mud. Alright, let's go on to the... We've got two more armies. So we've got the Kwantung Army 1945, which is pretty much, it's exactly the same. Well, it's not exactly the same. It's just a normal reinforced platoon, pretty much. It's not really, not much different. But it's just the tanks that you get a bigger option of tanks, which I don't think anyone would ever use it. You get the Chiha, the Type 89 improved, but I generally don't think I would ever use it, because the 1937 one is just better because you get better infantry options. You don't even get cavalry in the 45. So I just take a reinforced one, just give me all the options over the 45. Unless you're playing a scenario, of course. If you're playing, Soviets versus Chinese, Japanese, that might be where you want to use that. Okay, let's go on to the final theatre selector for I've come across so far. There's probably a few more later, I forget, but we'll just focus on this one. So, Soviet Army Manchuria, 1945. The more important thing a lot of Soviets are looking out for is, the ability to play against the Japanese in Manchuria. And it's okay. It's fine. It's sort of the same. You get 0 to 1 of your support. You get the cavalry as well, which is really nice. You could probably take it as Russians. They get all the armored cars. They get a massive selection of the late war tanks. So there's T60, T70, T34, the IS series, the SU series, and the Katusha. And they get a couple of decent transports. Just normal run-of-the-mill Soviet transports. And artillery is just, you're going to take a Ziz, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what the options are when you're just going to take a Ziz. No, it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's pretty much all this theatre selectors. Let's have a look. I don't really think there's any... There might be some more further on. Don't think there are. No. So, that's it so far. I'll probably head off here. I'll finish talk. I won't talk any more about the rest of the book. I'm going to save it when Jordan comes up and have a bit of a chat with him, have his opinions as a German player, and I think a soon-to-be Russian player. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this this quick overview of the first parts of the Empire in Flames Bolt Action Supplement by Warlord Games. I like it. I think it's great. I think everyone should play it and have fun playing it. And it's really has just given a depth to the Bolt Action series, which I don't think has really been... Well, I think just World War II in general, you look at games, Company of Heroes or stuff, it was groundbreaking when World at War? The Call of Duty came out with the Pacific Theatre. So the Pacific Theatre is it's the less glamorous of the theatres, if that is if you can even say that. As there's no Germans, there's no massive tanks, there's no Tigers, it's just infantry on the ground, just slugging it out. And that's why I like it. Yeah, it's rugged, and I'm Australian, so I have to like it. But thanks for watching. If you like this video, there's more videos up there. There's a whole tank wolf series up there at the moment with Jordan and I, and you get to see his tiger kill everything as per usual because it's a tiger. You subscribe to the channel because subscribers are always awesome, and you should also probably be ready for a bit of a Christmas special, which I've sort of planned but haven't planned. But shh, you don't know about that. There's plenty of it. There's like 20-30 videos now. We're doing pretty well. There's going to be a whole lot more coming up. There's a whole lot more bolt action coming up. Expect some actual infantry battles soon. I just need to paint the rest of my army, which might happen. We'll see. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you give this video a thumbs up. If you anything you want me to talk about, because the videos are not being recorded straight after the other, so I've got a bit of time before I do the next one. I've got about a week probably. Pardon me. So if you want me to talk about anything in this book or discuss anything, you want to let me know I've made a mistake talking about this book, or you just really want to let your opinion be known, let me know, and I'll show that. I'll put the opinion there, about there. I'll put it about there, and it'll come up and you'll see it, and look really nice, and you can be on YouTube and be a YouTube sensation, unlike me. Yeah. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next one.